Lewis Hamilton and his new adventure in red are now at the center of a debate that goes far beyond on-track performance. After the first 10 race weekends with Ferrari, the 7-time world champion has yet to secure a podium, leaving Scuderia fans with a mix of hope and disappointment. The victory in the sprint race in China had raised spirits, but the subsequent 8th place in the Grand Prix and 3rd in the Miami sprint brought everyone back down to earth. The question everyone is asking is, what is Hamilton missing to return to dominance? The answer may be more complex than it seems. The Formula One regulations will change radically in 2026, with one of the biggest revolutions in motorsport history. Teams will have to adapt to new technical rules, but also to a different way of thinking and designing the cars. For Hamilton, this means having to unlearn some habits consolidated during his years at Mercedes, when suspension systems were the key to success. Now, with simpler cars and a less stable aerodynamic platform, the British driver finds himself needing to rethink his driving approach. Fred Vasseur, the head of the Ferrari team, is experiencing a period of intense pressure. After a disappointing start to the 2025 season, the Scuderia decided to shift some resources from the 2026 project to the current car, hoping to improve performance. This is a risky choice that could compromise future work, but it demonstrates the team's determination not to give up. Vasseur hopes that Hamilton and Leclerc can be more competitive as early as next year when the new regulations come into effect. Alex Brundle, interviewed on the Intercooler podcast, expressed doubts about Hamilton's ability to adapt to the new rules. According to Brundle, the recent era of cars does not perfectly suit Lewis's driving style, as he is used to exploiting complex suspension systems like those that made Mercedes dominant in past years. If we put all the drivers in 2007/2008 cars, Lewis would still be among the fastest, says Brundle. But he adds that modern F1 requires an adaptation that is not guaranteed, even for such an experienced driver. Sensitivity to tire temperature has become a weak point for Hamilton, who struggles to manage the aerodynamic platform of the new models. I believe that analyzing all the data, it is precisely the sensitivity to the surface temperature of the tire that penalizes him, explains Brundle. Ferrari, for its part, hopes that Brundle is wrong and that Hamilton can respond positively to the new car when the time comes. Meanwhile, the gap between Hamilton and Leclerc, after 10 races, is 25 points, while championship leader Oscar Piastri is a full 119 points ahead of Hamilton. The current season has been a struggle for the British driver, with Mercedes having difficulty fully understanding the ground effect cars and Ferrari taking a step back compared to rivals over the winter. It remains to be seen whether the two Scuderia drivers will still have a chance to win a race in 2025, or if they will have to focus everything on the following year. Nico Rosberg, Hamilton's former teammate and world champion, has added another piece to the puzzle. According to Rosberg, Ferrari could soon make a drastic move to help Hamilton, opening a base in the United Kingdom. 7 of the 10 F1 teams are based in the UK, and even Racing Bulls, Italy, and Audi, Germany, are planning to open new facilities in the so-called Motorsport Valley. Ferrari, traditionally tied to Italy, could thus get closer to the F1 ecosystem and attract top-level engineers who would otherwise be reluctant to move to Italy. Rosberg explained that the working culture at Mercedes is very different from that at Ferrari. At Mercedes, when Lewis had a problem, he went straight to Toto. Toto made a decision, and that was it, he said. At Ferrari, there are many different decision-makers, and even Lewis doesn't really know who to turn to. It's all a bit complicated. Rosberg added that he has heard rumors that Ferrari is considering opening a branch in the UK, although communication between the new base and the Maranello headquarters could be a challenge. Hamilton, for his part, has publicly defended Fred Vasseur, but his comments to the media have put the team principal in a difficult position. Demanding improvements and pushing the team to focus on 2026 is understandable, but even a team like Ferrari must deal with limited resources. Hamilton could remain in red until the end of 2027, thanks to an extension clause in his contract, but it is unclear how long it will take to see the results of any changes. Ferrari seems to be trapped in a vicious cycle. Every time the team gets close to ending its title drought, it slips back down the standings. The last constructors' title dates back to 2008, despite Hamilton's triumph in the drivers' category with McLaren. In the following years, Alonso came close to the title in 2010 and 2012, but Ferrari was never able to reclaim the top spot. The cycle repeated itself with Vettel, who threatened the Hamilton to Mercedes dynasty in 2017 and 2018, before the Scuderia collapsed again. More recently, Vasseur saw his team come within just 14 points of ending the drought in the 2024 battle with McLaren. But after 10 races this season, the gap between the two teams has grown to 191 points. Ferrari has changed several team principles in recent years, but the solution does not seem to lie in leadership changes. Perhaps, as Rosberg suggests, a more radical change is needed, such as opening a base in the United Kingdom. Hamilton and Leclerc could benefit from being closer to the F1 ecosystem, especially in terms of recruiting engineers. Ferrari missed the chance to hire Adrian Newey last year after the designer preferred Aston Martin's offer. The Silverstone team is just 25 minutes from his former company, Red Bull, and that made the difference. The challenge facing Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton is not only technical, but also cultural and organizational. The decision to open a base in the United Kingdom could represent a historic turning point for the Scuderia, allowing it to tap into the best expertise of the motorsport valley and move towards a more flexible and responsive way of working. However, communication between the new site and Maranello will have to be flawless, as only then can coordination problems be avoided, and every decision made remain consistent with Ferrari's philosophy. Lewis Hamilton, for his part, will have to prove he can adapt to a new environment and a car with different characteristics from those he is used to. His experience and determination will be fundamental in leading the team's resurgence, but also in inspiring younger members and creating a climate of trust and collaboration. His public statements have put Vasseur under pressure, but they have also encouraged the team to seek innovative solutions and not settle for the status quo. Meanwhile, Ferrari will have to find the right balance between taking care of the present and preparing for the future. Shifting resources from the 2026 project to the current car is understandable, but it risks compromising efforts for the new regulations. The team will need to be able to manage both fronts without losing sight of the ultimate goal: returning to win the world title. The difficulties of the current season should not discourage fans. The history of Formula One is made up of ups and downs, and Ferrari has shown several times that it can rise again from setbacks. The return of Hamilton, combined with the presence of a talent like Leclerc, represents a great opportunity for the Scuderia to write a new chapter in its glorious history. Next year, with the arrival of the new regulations, could be the right time for a breakthrough. Ferrari will have to be ready to seize every opportunity, learn from past mistakes, and believe in its project. Hamilton, for his part, will have to show that he is still able to compete at the highest level, even in a different context from what he is used to. The challenge is great, but all the conditions are there. Ferrari has all the potential to return to dominating Formula One, but it will have to be brave, innovative, and united. Hamilton, Leclerc, and the whole team will have to work together without fear of change and daring. Only in this way can the Scuderia return to being the team that everyone admires and fears. Thank you all for following this in-depth look at Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton. We hope that the next season brings great excitement and that the Scuderia can return to fighting for victory. Stay tuned to keep up with all the latest news from the world of Formula One. Thank you again and see you next time.